wonderful presentation. And I must apologize. I should have instructed my cameraman to record your speech. It's a lapse on my part. From next time onwards, the address by students also will be recorded and posted. And you must gain confidence in that respect as well. All right, let me begin by very quickly responding to what Ojaswini said. Right? Ready? Okay. She asked a question. What is, if any, the difference between happiness and satisfaction? It's a very important thing. I'm glad that you have now begun to think, which is the very purpose of this assembly. I mean, such questions mean that one is beginning to think, and it's a very happy state. It may not be a satisfying state when you ask questions, it's a very happy state. Now, let me very briefly explain to you what the difference is. What is satisfaction? Now, a historian on modern predicament wrote about 50 years ago. His name is Campbell. And the title of the book is The Romantic Spirit and the Rise of Consumerism. It's a very interesting title. The Romantic Spirit and the Rise of Communalism. The Consumerism. Now, he says that the modern man is in an unending state of dissatisfaction. He's perpetually, continually, desperately seeking satisfaction, but satisfaction always eludes him. Why? Because his search for satisfaction is located entirely within the matrix or context of consumerism. The modern man seeks satisfaction through the acquisition and disacquisition of the things, the goodies, the gadgets, the titulations and pleasures that the market offers. And then he goes on to say that the modern man disacquires as fast as he acquires. You understand what he means? It means that as soon as in the process of seeking satisfaction we acquire something, we're immediately dissatisfied with it. Right? Now that dissatisfaction is also contrived by the world around us. How does that happen? By the various industries, the various agents of consumerism, suddenly putting into the market newer gadgets, more jazzy instruments, more swanky means. In comparison to which, what you have is nothing. So immediately, the moment, for example, iPhone 6 comes, iPhone 5 becomes an emblem not of satisfaction but of dissatisfaction. Right? Clear? This is how the market is driven. Now from this you will understand that satisfaction pertains to a craving and the meeting of that craving. And therefore, if you're only oriented towards satisfaction, you can just sit here and expect to be satisfied through the means and measures that the contemporary society, the world outside, offers you. Right? But happiness is not like that at all. Happiness is entirely different from satisfaction. In my understanding, happiness has everything to do with your personal growth. Happiness is not market dependent. You understand? For example, if you can do some thinking, and in the process of thinking you stumble upon a new idea, your happiness is unalloyed. You come across a situation in which a fellow human being is in distress, you reach out to him and extend a helping hand, and when that person's distress is relieved, you feel happy, don't you? You see your father, your mother slightly distressed or frustrated or depressed, you say a kind word, and you bring sunshine on their faces, and seeing the tension on their faces dissolve and get replaced by an expression of joy, you feel happy, don't you? This is something that the market cannot give you. The one commodity that is not available in the markets of the world is happiness. The market is always selling satisfaction. You understand? You understand the difference? There's a huge difference. In fact, the problem today is that people's view of life is predicated on satisfaction, not the pursuit of happiness. That's the reason why all over the world we see our fellow human beings profoundly unhappy. They're satisfied in a serial fashion. Serial fashion means one after the other. Today satisfied, in the morning, evening unsatisfied, tomorrow morning satisfied, tomorrow evening still satisfied, day after tomorrow unsatisfied, and it goes on and goes on like that. So a life is nothing but the wave and crust of happiness, of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. You examine what I have just now shared with you with your own life, then you will know the truth of what I'm saying. Okay? Is that clear to you? And this is what we should try and achieve through the assembly. We must attain clarity in thinking. All right? The second point that Ojaswini made is that the three categories that I introduced yesterday, they are to be found in a mixed up fashion in everyone. But she has a point. But I also have a point. There's no problem with that? Very good. That's what assembly is. There's no problem. Right? Assembly says there is no problem. Do you believe it? That's wonderful. And that's called happiness. That's not satisfaction. Right? Okay. You see, when we sit together and share our hearts and our minds, it's happiness. It's not satisfaction. For me, it's happiness. That's why you see an old man, driveling, sniveling, doddering old man, full of excitement. You know, have you seen anyone more excited than I am? You cannot. Not even in times of India. Right? All right. So, the point is, I'm talking about the dominant drive. I'm not saying that in a person there is only liking or craving for material objects. I'm saying that this is what drives him. I'm not saying that a person who is people-oriented will throw away all goods. No, he may also like good things. But the dominant drive is relational. And the case of a man who is in love with ideas, which all of you are, I can guarantee that. And when you graduate from college, and I'm going to issue a certificate, a special certificate saying that so-and-so studied for 3 years in college and is in love with ideas. The reason I'm making this promise is that when you graduate, I will not be here. All right? 6 months from now, I am in God's own country, which is completely taken over by Satan. Okay? So, oh, you don't understand what I'm saying, is it? God's own country. What is God's own country? Kerala. It is now temporarily under the rule of... you know very well. Well, if you want to know more about it, I will give a talk under the auspices of the Malayalam Literary Society. And one of the things I'm planning to do under the auspices of the Malayalam Literary Society is to sing a Malayalam song. All right? Ready? Okay. But this will happen only after my retirement. So I was saying that it's not as though every human being is a single color phenomenon, monochrome. We're all mixed up affairs. But in every human being, there is a dominant principle, a shaping desire. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, that's it. The third thing was what? What is that? The third point you made? Oh yes, she says, Ojaswini says, what she would like to have is an array of rich experiences. And I thought that was beautiful. That speaks volumes about you, Ojaswini. And that's precisely what I want. What I have been gathering over the last 40 years, my only bank balance, for which I have lost my personal balance, right, is a world of rich experience. And she said very interestingly that she would rather have negative experiences. And I'm going to slightly change the terminology if you don't mind. It is not negative experience that you want, or you want challenging experience, difficult experiences, because every difficulty is a concealed opportunity. You understand? Okay? If you all the time want an easy way, easy passage, you will be, it's like slipping on a slab of ice. Your personality, your being develops only by facing resistance. You understand? A tree that is standing on top of a hill sends its roots deep down because it is exposed to the buffetings of the gale, strong wind. And if it doesn't send its roots deep down, it will just collapse. Next time there is a gale, it will just crash and cease to exist. And it's good for the tree that there are gales. You understand? It is that positive attitude which we would love to cultivate. Now, I've taken this much time over Ojaswini's insights because they are very, very good. And I want all of you to gather the confidence to come here and address the assembly so that we begin to develop a partnership. And it's beautiful. It's already developing into something very beautiful. Now, yesterday, let's pick up the threads where we left off yesterday. What will you ask for? Ask and it will be given to you. What will you ask for? Did you think about it last night? In the secret moments of your sleeping privacy? Did you ask yourself, if today I have the opportunity to ask for something, what will I ask for? You'll ask for nothing? No, you will ask for something, perhaps you don't want to state it in the open, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. All right, now I will suggest some possibilities, shall I? I don't want to take over your thinking, but I'm only going to offer some very humble suggestions which you may please consider. I think one of the things you should ask for, and I'm going back to day number 1 of our reflection together. This is the 8th day on asking, okay? And I thought you would certainly ask me, when will you stop talking about asking, huh? Or asking about talking. Anyway, I said 8 assemblies ago, that is almost 2 weeks ago, that in order to ask appropriately, we must have humility, right? All right. Today, I want to develop our thinking on humility a little bit so that it becomes practical to us. Otherwise, humility is an abstract thing, right? Every noun is abstract. And an abstraction becomes an experience when noun, it turns into verb. You understand? I'm using the language of grammar. When noun turns into verb. Okay? So, humility. What is humility? Humility is, I'm going to give you the kindergarten definition of humility. Humility in our context, in the academic context, is the willingness to receive. Did you ever think of it? Did you ever think of this? Many people think that humility is going and touching somebody's feet. I have never understood how it helps me or someone else to have my feet touched. Especially I feel sorry for the other person because all he can gain is getting a little dirt from my feet. There is nothing else. And I don't get anything by somebody touching my feet. That's not humility, that is slavery. That is self-denigration. I will never touch anybody's feet, nor will I allow anybody to touch my feet willingly, happily. If I fall down and somebody pulls me by the leg, well, that's not touching the feet, it's pulling one's leg. Then it's okay. So that's not the expression of humility. Flattering someone is not humility. Anything which compromises truth is not humility, it is deception. You understand? What is humility? Humility is the willingness to receive. Now, if you use an illustration from nature, water flows from a higher level to a lower level, isn't it? Ganga का शुरुआत कहाँ से होता है? Gangotri से. It flows from a higher altitude to the lower plains. And the rivers are sacred also because they continually give you various discourses. A river is a flowing discourse on humility, right? And because of humility, life is kindled. That is why river is sacred. People never explain to you why the river is sacred and therefore rivers will always be dirty. You cannot clean the Ganga. If the significance of the river, the meaning of a river is never explained to people. I respect rivers because I know the meaning of a river. I know the meaning of water. I know the miracle called water. Therefore, at home, for example, I will open my tap half. Just half. Unfortunately, I used an American pronunciation. I'm very sorry. Americans pronounce that word as half. The British has half. All right? There was a boy whose father was American and mother British. And somebody asked him, where are you from? Who are you? He said, I am half and half. You understand? So anyway, that was a slip into Americanism, which I seriously, sincerely regret. So, humility. I said, river is a silent, flowing, enduring simile on humility. Okay? And that's why it kindles life. That is why it is cherished by people. Human beings cannot leave behind the rivers. The river is virtually tantamount to our life. Okay? It's in the property of water to be humble. It's in the property of water to reach out to somebody and to kindle life. That's what we are required to be. You look at nature and you learn everything that you need to know. But we will not. Okay? Anyway, so humility. Now, in the academic context, unfortunately, in an institution like St. Stephen's College, which is enshrouded in utterly unhelpful prestige, and therefore the complacency it breeds, the arrogance it provokes, we have lost humility. In fact, many of the encounters I had in this college with some of the junior members, not everyone, 99% of the junior members are perfectly fine. They are humble, they are willing to receive. But there is a very small section that makes a virtue of arrogance, impertinence, and pride. There's nobody who can teach me. I've arrived. I'm the ultimate. Now, this is absolutely disappointing. It is boorish. It's utterly unbecoming of a student. And such people will never ask a relevant or life-enriching question. They will ask questions, all right, but these are questions that will hurt others. Their only intention is to hurt others because the only way they know to show themselves up is by showing others down. Right? Socrates, who is really the fountainhead of wisdom, made a virtue of humility. And he said, the only thing I know is that I know nothing, or I know not anything. Now that's humility. Now when I know that I know not anything, then I will go around all the time looking for something to know. All right? And in the process of that experiencing that keenness to know, I will ask profound questions. Right? The bell is up, let's rise for prayer.